How did we get here? How did humanity come to exist in a universe full of planets, moons, and glimmering stars? Today, I wanted to stir up your thoughts a little bit and talk about how this all came to be. That's right, we're getting existential. But let me start off with a disclaimer. This video has no satisfying conclusion. Obviously, I don't know with 100% certainty how reality came to be. It's not like I was there or anything. My job is to get you thinking and let you decide how you think we got to this exact moment in time. Alright, ready? Most, if not all of you, would fall into one of two categories: theists or atheists. Either we came into existence because of an all-powerful God or multiple gods, or we came to be by scientific processes happening over billions of years. I'm mainly going to focus on the Christianity versus science aspect of this just to keep the video simple, but I'm sure you'll find value in what I have to say even if you don't fall into one of these two categories. Let's take a deeper dive into each of these scenarios. We need a starting point to all of this, something that can cause reality. In the case of Christians, the universe and everything in it was created by an all-powerful God. He is the starting point, and despite creating everything, he was never created. He has just existed. In the case of atheism, scientists have marked the Big Bang as the starting point, with matter acting in the place of God in that it was never created and has always existed. Notice how, despite defining a starting point, we need something to be there already. We need something that has always been there and has no starting point of its own. I understand it may be really difficult to imagine something that was never created, considering each and every one of us is made from our mother's womb. But it's the reality of reality. It's entirely beyond our understanding because everything we know had to be created through some process. But nothing would exist if something hadn't already existed. It's an all or nothing deal. Either nothing exists or something exists. I mean, science states that matter cannot be created or destroyed. So according to science, the matter had to just be there. So our starting point is either an eternal God who created the universe, or an ever-present void of empty space with an immense amount of eternal matter inside of it. Listen, as a Christian, I know the idea of an all-loving and all-powerful God sounds absurd. Like, it is absurd that I believe that, and that's why Christianity requires faith. But does the other option not sound absurd too? I think they both sound equally insane and unfathomable. But it only gets worse from here, as next we'll discuss how exactly this matter behaves. Starting again with the Christian standpoint, God created the universe forming planets and stars, and created rules for matter to follow which we call laws of nature. The languages of these laws of nature are math and science. For example, God designed matter and energy to be interchangeable, which led Einstein to then assign this relationship to the formula E equals mc squared. So yeah, it's pretty crazy to think that God can just create order in the universe by speaking it into existence. But you know what else is crazy? Thinking that this stuff just happens on its own. The universe is so organized. It's insane to me that matter, randomly scattered about an empty void, just comes together and compresses into planets and stars. And then these planets and stars form solar systems, which are situated inside of galaxies, which are insanely far away from each other. In fact, everything is insanely far away from everything else. How did celestial bodies even form when tiny particles have so much space to spread out? And you're telling me this happened randomly? Like gravity and all the other forces holding everything together, which dictate the behavior of matter and energy, have just always been here by random chance. And what's even crazier is we don't know how these forces exist. We know how they work, and we can prove that they exist, but nobody exactly knows why big rock and small rock are attracted to each other, or why my toenail clipping is ever so gently pulling an asteroid billions of light years away towards itself. And to think that this has just always been the case, that these laws of nature have always existed by the pure, unnatural will of the universe, is insane. But I'm not done yet, lovely viewer. If you haven't already clicked off the video because of the big words and my intense existential ramblings, then thank you. You've earned more existential ramblings. You ever think about life? Like, not your life, I'm talking about biology. Isn't it so fascinating? You know, I don't think I need to say the Christian perspective on how life got here, because it's the same as everything else. God created it. But when we look at science, suddenly everything is complicated. Has it ever crossed your mind that everything you know and love is just a complex amalgamation of protons, neutrons, and electrons bound together by invisible forces? Your mom is only 3 ingredients. Everything is only 3 ingredients. And depending on how many of one ingredient, protons, you add to the mixing bowl, you get an entirely different end result. Obviously, I'm no scientist. I'm just a regular guy. But from the very little I do know about this stuff, it's kind of mind-blowing. Like, there's gotta be more to it than that. High school gave me enough information to look in the mirror and know that I am the product of gazillions of tiny particles, and that's it. But let's zoom out a bit. All life is made up of elements like oxygen, nitrogen, carbon, and hydrogen. Well, those things aren't alive, so let's move a step up. Well, these elements make proteins, fats, carbohydrates, and nucleic acids. Still not alive. Well, they make up the building blocks of a cell, which is alive. How does that work? You're telling me you put a bunch of non-living things together, filled in the empty space with water, and added some electric charge, and now we got life. Excuse me, last I checked, none of those things are alive. That's like putting eggs, flour, and sugar in a bowl, popping it in the oven, and out comes a cake that starts telling you its political opinions. Somehow we got life from non-life, which again happened randomly over billions of years according to science. And somehow, this life decided it wanted to have goals and ambitions, such as eating, growing, and reproducing. Can somebody tell me why this combination of non-living matter and energy suddenly wants to spread its DNA and make more of itself? Now we have one life form taking nutrients from its surroundings and multiplying itself to make more life forms. And if you let this happen for 1 billion more years, you get communities of cells working together to form a single conscious organism, which still has the same goals and ambitions of eating, growing, and reproducing. And then, after an unfathomable period of time, you get organisms so complex that they are aware of their own existence. They can feel emotions, rationalize the world around them, and form thoughts and opinions outside of basic survival needs. Yeah, I'm talking about you watching this video. So remember, kids, you're not an individual. Your body is a community of various individual living organisms sending and responding to electrical signals, essentially forming one single consciousness out of trillions of individuals. It's crazy to think that people actually believe that their insanely complex brains and consciousness formed over billions of years of random events rather than by intelligent design. It's also crazy to think that people actually believe an omnipotent God created humans out of dust just so he could love them with his whole being. That's me. I believe that. Yeah, both are pretty absurd, but I choose to believe in God despite that. Let me know, what do you think? Where did all of this come from?